All right. So how many tracks have you ridden so far?
I believe it's around 102 right now.
Okay. And then that's also counting different configurations possible.
Yeah.
Last I counted, I forgot. I think it was around 61. Now, and some of those tracks aren't even there anymore.
Right.
Going back to the early days of the school and in the 80s, I think my favorite track that's not around anymore is Loudon. So Loudon still exists, but the earlier version of it was shorter and they didn't have that oval there. It was like a roller coaster. Every corner was banked, and some of them were seriously banked. And they still retained two of the former corners, but that whole track was amazing. It really was like a roller
Right.
coaster.
Yeah, it's not one that I've ridden, so I'll take your word for that.
Yeah. What about in the U.S.? What are some of the tracks that you really like?
Well, VIR um, is is one of my favorites. I would say Barber is one that I really look forward to going to, especially the last few years since the resurface. Got rid of the sort of sketchy areas. Really nice layout, great condition, great place to be, um, but real fun to ride.
A
Like,
lot of people are talking about Coda, obviously because it's going private, and I found that track to be very interesting in the way that it took me at the end of my first day of riding there. I was there for a press event. I really didn't feel like I had conquered the track to any extent. And what I mean by that is I know what I'm capable of as a rider, and I was not able to approach that. By the end of the second day, I was able to definitely get to where I thought my performance was at. But then going back and doing schools there, because we ran schools there, three different times,
mhm.
and with more repetition, you really started to like the place. But I found that it was so difficult in some sections and easy in others, but the sections that you go in and then the road just sort of pinches off and you can't really judge the radius. You just have to remember from last time. There are no real visual
Right.
cues.
I mean, especially the S's section. What is that like four through nine?
Yeah.
Uh, each part of that has a slightly different radius, slightly different speed. And the last section, it's not intuitive, like how it connects together. You think it goes one way, and if you follow that, suddenly you're way out of position for the left. I can't remember what number that is. Like, is that nine over
What
the
over that
top?
crest?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But I love that sort of thing, like that sort of challenge. You get almost like bored of a track if it's too simple.
Right.
Um, I For me, Kota, the huge expanses of asphalt that you never go anywhere near is like weird. Like, should I be using like some of this? Like, why have they like put all of this asphalt out there when I'm just taking this really sort of narrow, tight inside area, and there's like another 300 feet of asphalt?
Well, that's
That's
like when
kind of weird.
remember when we went to the Dubai Autodrome, and
Hmm.
I was riding with my student. We are going down to the downhill front straightaway in the first turn. He sits up to brake, never brakes, and just goes straight. And there was so much asphalt. It was like a sea of asphalt out there. He was
Yeah,
in no trouble whatsoever. He finally slowed down and got back on the track. But it was interesting to ride on a track that effectively had almost no
yeah.
dirt at the
Uh,
edges. It was
It
just
doesn't.
paved.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually a big fan of asphalt runoff.
Oh yeah.
Um, it like the tumbling and all of the and even the machinery damage that's caused by gravel traps. If you have the space, and other than like a brake failure scenario, being able to just, I've seen so many guys just go down and it sits on the crash bung, slides off the track, you get a hot ass, and that's about it.
Yeah.
You know, you get up, pick your bike up, and off you go.
Yeah.
Fantastic. But yeah, Dubai is kind of crazy like that because it's just one massive expanse of black asphalt everywhere, and there's almost minimal delineation between the track and the runoff, right? So it takes a minute to actually figure out where you're supposed to go.
Yeah, you can easily cheat and go right back,
Hmm.
go off the track and right back on and just look over your shoulder. Did anyone see that?
Yeah, right.
The one thing I thought was really interesting about another international track, Phillip Island, and I had never heard anyone say this, and I'm sure someone has, but I just hadn't heard it yet. When you're at that track and you're coming up to almost all the corners, not everyone, but most of them, you can see a good three-quarters of the turn from entry.
Right.
And in some cases, you can see the entire turn. You're going into turn one, you're looking into this corner, you see it, right? Turn two has that crest, but you can see quite a bit. Turn three, Stoner Corner,
Mm,
It's right there in front of you. Turn 4, not quite as much because it pinches off, but Siberia and all these other corners, most of the track you can see quite a bit of the of what's coming up, whereas you're not going to get that at a lot of other tracks, not to that same ratio.
right. You can contrast that to Portimao, where you can't see any of it anywhere. The whole thing's over the top of a hill. Um, you've really got to figure out your approach and trust that it's still going to be there when you get there.
Yeah, that's a little bit of what we get at the Ridge, but
Hmm.
Ridge is one of my favorite tracks. I love it. It's beautiful. The surface is good. I think it's well laid out. The only thing is a little weird is that little corkscrew thing that
Mm.
they made. It,
I love that section,
do you
honestly.
really? Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's a bit awkward just because it's so much slower, and it's got that little flip. Once you actually going downhill, that right, left, right onto the
Yeah.
front straightaway, that's beautiful. It's just that first really sharp
Yeah.
left is a bit dysfunctional for me at least.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It freaks a lot of people out, and the if you think about that, the braking zone is slightly out of view as well. And if you wait until it's in view, you're kind of leaving it a bit late.
Yeah.
So that might be why people don't like it. But I find I can get in there really good. I love that downhill trail round and off camber, right hander, right up against the edge of the track, and then you got that whole section onto the straight. Yeah, it's great. It's a really good
Yeah, the
section.
carousel there, if anyone ever wanted to get their knee down,
Hmm.
the carousel at the Ridge would be the place to do it.
Yep.
It's left-handed, in which most people tend to prefer lefts, right? It's nice and smooth, and it even decreases a smidge in radius right at the end, so that's probably going to predispose someone to getting their knee down. But that's a fun corner just to get the thing on the side of the tire, and really you're just using the throttle to dial your line either out or back in. That's a super satisfying
Yeah.
corner.
It's a very interesting corner to me. I mean, I pride myself on consistency and accuracy, and that's one of the turns that it's really, really difficult to do it exactly the same twice. And there's like a crossover point, like you go into it, and I can go in there faster. I can go in there faster, and then like, oh damn, I'm in there too hot. Like it's just a real narrow like window of opportunity there. Like you run up against it, suddenly you're skating off towards the outside, wondering if you're going to get it slowed down before you get to the edge of the track. Like 3 mile an hour slower, you're all good. Like
Yeah, the
so,
Goldilocks zone seems to
yeah,
be
that's
rather
the zone.
narrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of challenging on that. Like you know that you want to push the entry speed, but you're also kind of aware that you can't get it too wrong because
Yeah.
it gets a little bit sketchy pretty quick.
Yeah. It's sometimes dealing with somebody who you can bother them, but at a certain point they'll snap and they'll,
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, same as that.
then you're head first into a trash can. What about Sonoma?
I like Sonoma. First time I ever rode it, they didn't have that weird turn one. It was the proper turn one
Uh-huh.
where you go in there like fast uphill. I think I prefer that. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's a lot of people's favorite. Everybody talks about Sonoma. I guess the surface over the years, I mean, it's way better now. Like now that it has a good surface, I'm actually all about it. I enjoy going there. The service as it was before, like it was a little bit more challenging, like not really knowing exactly how hard you could push.
Yeah, definitely. It was a bit of a patchwork
Hmm.
quilt of different surfaces. The
But
one thing I find is that when I go there, the corners are so varied
hmm.
in character that you're just so involved in, okay, here comes this new thing. This is different. This is different. It's not like a flow that you might get because all the corners have a similar characteristic. So it does something on the mental side.
I mean, it's like two different tracks connected together. You got
Mhm.
the front section; it's all up and down, more like Portimao, blind entries and roller coaster kind of ride. And then you got the carousel, like crazy corner. That's another one, a bit like the carousel at the Ridge, where you think you can keep going in there faster, but then it gives you a little reality check. But then you come out of that and you're on a drag strip, and then you got these fast flat S's down the back. Feels like you've gone to a completely different racetrack.
Yeah.
So, but it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to ride that track. and I can see why a lot of people consider it their favorite.
Now, here's a track that I like a bunch that most people are a bit, they could take it or leave it. Las Vegas, the classic course
Hmm.
outside. I like it because it's long. It's got a lot of turns. It's got a decent variety. The grip, while not excellent, it's definitely acceptable and super consistent. Super consistent. It's not like one corner you can push it at 95% and the next one 70 is all you're going to be able to get.
Right.
And for some reason, I like both direct. You can run it in both directions. I like both directions. I really enjoy that track for whatever reason. And I think at the end of the day, our favorite track is always the track that we're riding the best at.
So yeah, quite possibly.
Yeah.
I mean, interestingly, with Vegas, we've been going there for a while. I agree, and one characteristic that makes a track really good to ride is consistent grip levels, traction levels, which that has. Right. It also has these like little rolly kind of. It's not bumpy. Like there's a couple of sections where it rolls,
Some
which
undulations.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a little challenging to dial out suspension wise. But I was never a huge fan, and then I had to coach a Moto America Superstock 1000 rider there, so I had to like what's the term? Pull your skirt up or whatever.
I say yeah, you have to pull finger.
All right, but yeah, I had to man up
Yeah.
basically, and I couldn't just cruise around going, "Oh, I don't really like this track." I had to man up and like go fast, and that completely transformed it. Like actually going after the track and really pushing and trying to optimize my lines and uh, put a decent lap time together. I suddenly really liked it, and ever since then, it's been pretty high up the list.
There's another thing that I think is related loosely to what you were just saying, where you really had to push and then suddenly everything gelled
Hmm.
and the track had flow. And that is in a more general sense, you go to a track and there's a corner you really don't like. It's your least favorite corner. Here it is again. Let me just get through it so I can get on with the rest of it. But then through familiarity and maybe some trial and error, you get better and better and better at that corner to the point where it's your favorite one. You're really looking forward to it. And
Hmm.
I love that transformation from least favorite to most favorite.
Right.
It's like two kids that get into a fist fight in the yard and then afterwards they're best friends.
Right.
They for whatever reason they bonded like that. But I love to get that flip from least to most favorite.
Yeah. Yeah, and you see that a lot with our students. The you can pick at most tracks like two or three corners that are going to give the majority of guys there a little bit of difficulty trying to figure it out. And in the back of your mind, you know that when you do actually work this out and you can repeatedly do that correctly, you're going to fall in love with that little section of the racetrack, even though you hate it right now.
Yeah, I find that most not all the corners that people struggle with are going to have a similar characteristic. They're going to be tighter than 90 degrees. They're going
Right.
to have a late apex and the person's going to have to actually formulate a plan for the first half of the corner that's actually going to get them pointed correctly in the second half.
Hmm.
And that's difficult if what you're looking at isn't really giving you that cue. It's usually like a flat corner and it just pinches off and you're going
Yep.
what's coming, and the person can't really remember from the last lap. They just remember they didn't like it or it didn't go well.
Right. And it's there's a lot of like impact on the speed that you arrive at, and if you're a little uncertain, it's kind of blind. You can't really tell. You end up arriving a little slower than ideal, and
Yeah.
now you got to kind of make up. Once you get the speed right, and you go in there, and you sort of, you man up, get in there at the appropriate speed, and it clicks together, and it's like, now I get it.
And what about Willow Springs? And well, so there's the big track at Willow, which we don't run at for a few different reasons. One, because it's super fast and it's so fast that you're less experienced riders that can kind of get lost in the
Hmm.
corners. But the streets of Willow,
Yeah, I loved that track, especially when it's all beat up. Um, I mean, if you want a track with reference points,
yeah,
I knew that place intimately. I knew exactly. I could like put my tires right on the very inside edge of the track. Yeah, it was great. I felt like I had a cheat code for that particular track, and it flowed so nice, and the surface was good and consistent. Traction was consistent throughout. It's got a crazy bowl, and the blind kink. Like, there's so many elements to that that are real fun, all packed into a little package. great.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those tracks where you don't really have any time
Hmm.
to rest.
Right.
There's just a short period of time on the two straights, but if anyone's out in front of you, then you got to really manage them. There's really no breaks on that track, and I like it for that reason. Is it just puts you in the moment, whether you like it or not. You
Mhm.
have to be.
Yeah. No, I mean it's changed. So I mean, I guess on my list of tracks, this track now we're running the other way around
Yeah.
typically, and it has some extra features, another chicane if we choose to use it. You're running the bowl backwards. It's got curbing and different features, so it looks totally different. So I'm actually excited to go and relearn it. I mean, that's an enjoyable process for me as well. So I get to leave the old one in good shape, running pretty hot around there. Now I've
Hmm.
got to go start over.
Yeah, when they did the renovations on the track, obviously that was a whole topic on its own with people talking about what was done right and what was done wrong and so on and so forth. Anyway, it's a track. Ride it or don't ride it.
Right.
So we rode it and I went out there session one pretty I wouldn't say really disappointed, but somewhat disappointed. And that again is what am I capable of historically and how did I
Mm.
perform? And the next session, I went out a little bit better. And then the next session went out. Now it's starting to feel good. And then the by the fourth session, I was going, all right, I'm back.
Hmm.
And that felt great.
Mm.
And when you do get those moments where you go through a little bit of adversity and and work your way through that to the point where now you're performing, it's a great feeling. It's very satisfying.
I agree. Yeah, when it clicks, it's a
Yeah.
good feeling.
There's pit race. I'd have to say, I didn't say that that was my favorite track in the States because it's getting turned into a rumor has it a data
A
center.
data center,
But
yeah.
I would have to say historically, or at least near history, that was perhaps my favorite. And it had a lot of features that I really liked. But what I really enjoyed was the section. It was like giant slalom skiing where there was a right, left, right, left,
Hmm.
right. It was from on one side of the tire to the other side of the tire, and it just kept going on and on for about a mile. Really, it was just left, right, left, right, left, right, and I just thoroughly enjoyed that. It would be nice if someone somehow stepped in to save that track, but I loved it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I I wouldn't have put it in my top three.
No,
I'm not quite sure why. It seems to have everything, but maybe like to alluding to what you said earlier, that I don't feel comparatively that I go as well there as other places, so it drops down the list of preference.
yeah, I mean, for that matter, if you're riding at absolutely 100% of your capability at a bumpy old go kart track, you're going to love it.
Hmm.
You're going to love it. And riding on bumpy go kart tracks is fun as long as you are manifesting an example of what you know that you are maximally capable of.
Right.
And and that's really the fun part. So you can't have fun all by yourself. And even kids are doing, let's say young racers are doing figure eights in parking lots, and even a figure eight in a parking lot, a session doing that can be really really satisfying and rewarding. So it's not like the track has to be some top tier experience.
No, I totally agree. I've had some fantastic days on a supermoto with two cones doing an oval,
Yeah.
just like scooting down one way, sliding around, scoot down the other way, and like you could do it the whole day long. It's great.
So what about a grippiest track you've ever ridden? I've got one in mind, but I want to hear this is the most grippy track you've ever ridden. Just
Ceres
Ceres. Yeah,
in
I
in
haven't been to
northern
Ceres.
Greece. Yeah, Thessaloniki, I think it is.
Uh-huh.
I've dragged knee on slicks in the rain, like no problem.
For me, it was the track in Taiwan.
Hmm.
So the one by Kaohsiung at the bottom. I forgot the name of that.
Clark? No,
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 that's
that's Philippines.
Philippines. It's not Golden Port. That's the one in Beijing. That was an interesting track, but the track in Taiwan in the south, the name will probably come to me. I was I was told by one of the coaches. He said, "Hey man, what's up with these students?" I think it was I forgot which coach it was. What's up with these students? I said, what do you mean? He said, we're going out on the pit lane and we're on the track entrance, and the guy goes straight to a
Oh
knee
yeah,
before the entrance.
I've experienced that.
And I was like, huh? And I hadn't been on the track yet. And I went out there, and the problem I was having is I was getting into the corner and get the thing leaned in, and there was so much grip. The bike was effectively bogging down. It would bog and then just roll off to the inside
Right.
of the corner. And I was going, oh, well, I need to go a little faster. And it just kept, and then I just hold the throttle open in the last possible minute, run it in hard on the front tire, and the thing just slows down and goes to the
Yeah.
inside. I'm going, how fast do I need to get into this corner to actually carry the speed that it will support? And
Yeah. Yeah, I
yeah,
mean the guys there's a lot of guys riding like R3s and stuff like that, 300, 400 cc. And for sure, it was like a baptism of fire. I think I had been there before, but I remember my guy on an R3 goes out the pit, and turn one, the pit out goes around the outside, and there's like, I don't know, it's like a 5 feet wide or something with a painted line, and
right.
he's like smashed on a knee, like railing full pin. And I was on 1,000. I think I couldn't even keep up with him. And like, Jesus Christ, we're going. I'm on cold tires, like trying to figure it out, and he's just like, pow, gone. And yeah, it takes a few laps, like you were saying, to recalibrate to how much grip's there. Like even on cold tires, like one time through turn one, you've got plenty of temperature in your tire. You can send it now. But most tracks aren't like that, so we're sort of like tiptoeing our way into it, and all the locals just send it.
Yeah, you want to also tell people, hey, just so you know, what you're able to do today on the track right now isn't going to be the same out on your public roads.
Hmm.
Sometimes public roads are okay, sometimes they're
Or any
not.
other racetrack for that matter. I
Yeah,
mean, don't take this as a standard. This is definitely non-standard.
yeah, it's kind of like the hero dirt for the motocross
Right.
riders, where everything is just perfect and they just got the most optimum level of moisture in the soil, and
Hmm.
everything is just
Yeah, it's like
absolutely
running
perfect.
berms,
Yeah,
right?
that's what it feels like. What about well, Magello? You haven't ridden Magello, but I I I'm not sure. I'm split on whether or not I love that, because it's such a classic course and it's Italian and it's in the hills and all. But the track itself, when I went there, I it was by the time I hit the sixth corner, I said to myself, "Oh yeah,
Hmm.
this is going to be good."
Right.
And it was great. It was really fantastic. The one thing most people don't realize about Magello is it's not a fast track. They go, oh, no, it's a fast track. It's got a long straightaway,
Yeah.
100%, but everything else is like second and third gear.
Right.
So if you look at the times for, let's say, a Moto3 bike or even like a 300cc bike, they can get around there pretty quick. Okay, it's going to take a long time to get down the front straightaway, but it's most of it, all the technical stuff is your medium speed, and,
Yeah.
and it's quite enjoyable.
Yeah. I mean, you contrast that to just down the road, Misano. Those three rights.
Oh yeah.
Can't remember what number turns they are. Like going into that first one, I was there in 2009, and you're basically flat in fifth on street gearing, and you just check up, steer it, pin it
Yeah.
to go through that right hander, and then you got another one that's a little slower, and the whole lap time really is about how long you dare keep that gas open
Yeah. If you
before
gotta you have to go
you
super
roll out.
fast in the fast stuff,
Yeah.
otherwise you just get eaten alive by anyone else. I really like the kink at the kink on the straightaway at VAR.
Hmm.
It, of course, if you're not going very fast, it's just a kink. But if you get a good drive coming out of that last corner, and you're moving, yeah, you can go through there wide open in sixth gear, because depending on how you've got the bike geared, usually you
Hmm.
short shift to six and just hold it pinned through there. That is such a thrilling feeling. And I think it's probably the closest I'll get to an Isle of Man
Hmm.
kind of experience.
Yeah.
It's like the smallest snapshot of what's it like to fly through a village in the Isle of Man flat out, or close to it. But that's a super satisfying corner, because it does have that speed, that thrill, but you also know that you can get through it. It's you can get through pinned you're not necessarily going to do that in your first lap, but it's certainly possible on a 1000. Okay, 600 or anything smaller for sure. You're on the
And
stop.
I'm pretty sure that you leave the ground there as well for a moment. I mean, it's the actual apex of that kink is slightly
Oh,
crested,
it drops out a little
and
bit.
you look at the black lines that, like, if you do go through there, so you're pinned and you steer into it because the corner's faster than your arrival, right?
Right.
So you can do that, and it starts leaving a big black line. You can see the traction light going crazy in the dash, and then you get this sort of like landing, and you can definitely sense that it's spinning up right at the apex. Yeah, that is pretty awesome.
Yeah, Phillip Islands, and you coming out of the final corner. I don't know what gear you're in. Maybe you're in fourth or the top of third, but you're moving, and you're able to get into sixth gear fairly early on. I mean, it's a fast straightaway, and then there is so basically the track is a bridge over the tunnel that gets you into the paddock because you have to go through a
Yes.
tunnel.
Yeah.
And as it is most of the time when there is a tunnel, the surface is a little bit lower,
Mm-hmm.
and when you're going there, because the bottom drops out, you get a little bit of a wheelie. Okay, it's not really a power wheelie, but you've got power going to the rear wheel, and then the bottom drops out, so you do get effectively the front wheel coming off the ground wide open in sixth gear, and that also happens at Magello
Oh,
as well.
really?
Right at the end, you get a little just a dip. And I got someone actually got video of it, so I have like actual proof of them.
Six gear
Just as a
wheelie.
little sixth gear wheelie at Magello at 100 and whatever, maybe 170 or 180, whatever.
So when you rode at Magello, were you using, like all the pitting? Like, that's to me the most fascinating part, because it crests, right? So you can't see the whole thing when you come onto the straight,
Right.
and you start basically on the paint on this side, and
Yeah,
you
you move
pretty much
over to
go to
where all the stripes are.
yeah, all the way over the other side.
Yeah, and you don't have to. If you're on a MotoGP bike that has however many horsepower, yeah, you're going to do that. And if you're there to enjoy yourself, which is what I was doing, then you don't have to, but it does straighten that section out, so why
Right.
not?
Yeah, yeah.
It actually makes you less swoopy. The speeds are so high that at that point you want to try and just be as predictable to other riders as possible and just try and straighten it out as much as you can and get down in there and get
Right.
into to turn one. That actually reminds me of another phenomenon that I experience, and I bet I'm sure you have before, but in that hard braking, because you're going from top of six down into second gear. And when you sit up and go to the brakes, especially if you're leaving it to pretty late, okay, well, you're braking hard, right? But you're also getting a wind blast in the chest. And the immediate 180-mile-an-hour wind blast actually, I find, pushes me back more than the brakes throw me forward.
Right.
So it's almost like I'm pulling back on the bar slightly. And I've noticed that somewhere in the 120-mile-an-hour range, hard braking and the wind blast in the chest perfectly equalize for a moment or two, and you've got no pressure on the bars.
That's
And then
cool.
and I saw that was also the case at the Ridge, going because the Ridge has that really long front straightaway if you're not using the chicane, which we don't. And you coming up and then you get on the brakes. You typically get on the brakes concurrent with getting the bike steered into that first gentle turn. But then there is that moment where the wind blast and the braking force equalize, and I always find that kind of fascinating.
Wow. I can't say that I've been aware of that.
Yeah,
Um, I maybe don't tuck as much as you, and
yeah.
like, so I'm sort of out in the wind a little bit more. Maybe, maybe my eyes are out on stalks already about trying to get it stopped.
Well, you probably at the first turn at Coda, and then at the end of the back straightaway at Coda is another couple areas where from super high speed to super low speed
Hmm.
is basically
Yeah, the
that's
back
where I've
straight
seen it.
coat is probably the biggest extreme of that. I mean, you are pinned down the back there, and you're going all the way down to first at the end
Yeah,
on street gearing.
yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
The I'd have to say probably the track that I miss the most, which I mentioned earlier, was the old Loudon, and I wish someone would build another track like that, just with all that banking. The only track that's similar to that, I think, is Zandvoort.
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, that's the one with the
Um,
with the huge bank. They run F1 there too.
I know it's cliche, but I think I've forgotten more racetracks than most people have ridden. All I remember about Zandvoort, well, actually a couple of things, but there's a downhill hairpin that is lined with a rubber wall, like that's on the white line on the edge of the track.
So there's no buffer.
Zero,
Yeah.
absolutely zero.
Yeah.
Yeah. We did I ever tell you we did a 24-hour school there?
Oh no.
Um, so it was me, Andy Ibbott, um, Chris Shering, Paul Debenham, I think. We all met up in Northampton, drove down to where did we go to? To London, maybe. Got on a plane, flew to Amsterdam, got in a cab, went to Zandvoort, got there at like 9 o'clock in the morning, set up, ran a school day, uh, got in a cab, went back to Amsterdam, flew back to the UK, got in a car, drove back home, got home at like 4 o'clock in the morning. 24 hours done.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you ran a 24-hour school
No,
school for 24
well,
hours.
it was for us
Yeah, right.
with the
Yeah.
travel,
That
but I don't think we've ever done that before or since.
well, speaking of that, back in the 80s, so this was in the early 80s, we ran schools going back to Loudon again, but they would always have the Loudon road races over Father's Day. And Father's Day is also during summer solstice, so longest day of the year,
Right.
and New Hampshire being way north, so the sun didn't go down till like nine something.
Sick.
So when you rented the track, you got the track for the day. And I guess the day started at midnight and ended at midnight. So
Right.
what we ended up doing is you show up at 7 in the morning and start running schools, and we ran till 8:30 at night.
Nice.
Yeah. And of course it was great and everyone loved it. And that was when the school had a different format. So people weren't there for the entire day. It was like more of like a half day type program.
Right.
So we're able to run kind of like 3 half days at that time. And I was a young kid at that time, and I was just enjoyed everything. And I would go out and ride myself, and it was just kind of cool to be on a track riding at 8:30 at night.
Yeah. Well, I think I told you I did the Arctic Circle Raceway in Norway. Like that was 24-hour daylight. We didn't get the track in the same way that you did at Loudon, unfortunately, because
Yeah.
that would have been cool. But we did stay in these cabins like on site,
Hmm.
and like it just stayed sunny all night. It was so weird. I really liked it though. Like it takes away all the restrictions of daytime, nighttime. You just do whatever you want, whenever you want, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And the track never really cools off overnight, right? So
Well, we were up by the Arctic Circle.
oh, so it was still
But
chilly.
no, I mean the weather was pretty good. We had two really good days. One day where it rained,
Okay.
but it was like June or July, and the sun basically bobs along and does sort of that and goes back up. It never gets anywhere near setting.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's a good summary of the tracks. Um, you have any other notable tracks? I mean, because I guess we're just riffing about tracks, just
Hmm.
talking about tracks.
Uh, let's see. I did ride Istanbul Park in Turkey, in Istanbul. I don't know if that's still around. It was on the circuit very briefly.
Yeah, it's so last I heard it's still around, and then don't quote me on this, but the last I heard it's being rented out to store automobiles. There's someone has a situation where they have a lot of automobiles. I don't know if they're a manufacturer or whatever, but there's a lot of space there, and it makes sense for whatever reason to use it to store cars. And they don't just sit there. I think they move in and out. But that's the last I heard about that.
Right.
But I saw footage of the track and it looked amazing,
It's
and I
pretty awesome.
really want to ride there. Another track I really want to go to is the one in Bahrain. That I saw the F1 races there, and I went, oh,
Right.
definitely want to do that. I know you guys did. I didn't do Abu Dhabi, but
That was actually that was right up there in terms of an experience because we ran a night school there.
yeah,
So you like roll up to the track at midday after having a nice breakfast at the hotel, get everything organized, and it starts cooling off. And I think we started at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon or something. It ran till midnight, and then you go back, have a beer, chill out, and do it all again the next day. Get up casually, like,
Yeah.
really unusual compared to we're normally up at the crack of dawn. So that was a lot of fun
Yeah.
running
The
under the
last time we were
lights.
at Dubai,
Mm.
we did a night school there too.
I mean, the Dubai track's better. I didn't think it's definitely a car track in Abu Dhabi, and you go around that hotel in the middle. I mean, it's pretty awesome to do, but I wouldn't be, like rushing back there as a riding experience per se.
Yeah, it's like a novelty. It's a box
Mhm.
to tick.
Yeah,
It's fun because it's so unusual. Yeah. Well, when I went to Dubai, I went skiing in the mall because I could. Was that a great mountain? No, but you just
right.
wanted to do it.
Isn't that wild? I mean,
Yeah.
it's like, I mean, we did the hottest school we've ever done in Dubai. It was like 50 degrees C,
Wow.
which I don't know what that is, 125 or something like that.
Yeah. That's
Um,
just like shouldn't be
but
riding.
you could still go to the mall and ski
Yeah.
in this massive ski slope that they put in the middle. That place was nuts back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think good news is that there are a lot of people that are working on bringing more tracks in America, and I think that the market might support that long term. People are getting more into sports cars and taking their cars out to tracks, whereas car track days really weren't that big of a thing.
No,
It was more like SCCA or if you were part of a specific club, but now it's becoming more popular. So I think people are looking at that as an option that actually might generate revenue. So we'll see where things go.
cool.